That thing you've been avoiding, it's getting bigger. Not because it's actually getting worse, but because every day you don't face it, your fear of it grows. The conversation you need to have, the call you need to make, the decision you need to face, the truth you need to admit, whatever it is, it started small. Manageable. Something you could have handled if you dealt with it right away. But you didn't. You put it off. You told yourself you'd deal with it later. You convinced yourself that avoiding it was the same as solving it. And now it's not small anymore. Now it's this huge, terrifying thing that keeps you up at night. That weighs on you every single day. That takes up more mental space than it ever should have. That's what avoidance does. It doesn't make problems disappear. It makes them grow. It makes them worse. It turns something you could have handled into something that feels impossible. If you've been putting something off and it's eating at you, this message is for you. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you might finally give you the push you need to face what you've been running from. Let me tell you how fear actually works, because I don't think most people understand it. Fear isn't based on reality. It's based on perception, on what you imagine might happen, on the stories you tell yourself about how bad it could be. And when you avoid something, those stories grow. They multiply. They become more vivid, more detailed, more convincing. You're not just afraid of the thing anymore. You're afraid of everything you've imagined about the thing. Think about it. When was the last time you avoided doing something for weeks or months, and when you finally did it, it was as bad as you thought it would be? Almost never. Right? Most of the time, the actual thing takes 5 minutes. It's uncomfortable for a moment, and then it's done, and you wonder why you waited so long. But in your head, for all those weeks or months, it was this massive, terrible, impossible thing. Because that's what avoidance does. It feeds fear. It gives fear time to grow unchecked. Here's a simple example. You need to make a phone call. Maybe it's to schedule a doctor's appointment, or to have a difficult conversation with someone, or to handle some administrative task you've been putting off. Day 1, it's just a phone call. It'll take 5 minutes. You know you should do it, but you don't feel like it, so you put it off. Day 2, it's still just a phone call, but now you feel a little guilty about not doing it yesterday. Day 5, it's not just a phone call anymore. It's this thing you've been avoiding, this task that's hanging over you. Day 10, you start thinking about all the reasons it's going to be awful. They won't understand. They'll judge you. It'll be awkward. You won't know what to say. Day 30, it's become this huge, anxiety-inducing event. You've built it up so much in your head that the thought of doing it makes you physically uncomfortable. But it's still just a 5-minute phone call. The task didn't change. Your fear of it did. That's what happens with everything you avoid. The longer you avoid it, the scarier it becomes. Not because it's actually getting worse, but because your mind has time to turn it into something it's not. And the worst part? While you're avoiding it, it's taking up space in your head. Mental energy, emotional energy, stress. You're carrying it with you everywhere. It's there when you wake up. It's there when you're trying to focus on other things. It's there when you're trying to relax. Avoidance doesn't give you peace. It just trades immediate discomfort for ongoing anxiety. And that's a terrible trade. Here's what people get wrong about fear. They think avoiding things protects them from it. That if they just don't think about it, don't deal with it, don't face it, it'll somehow resolve itself or just fade away. It doesn't. It grows. And it doesn't just grow, it spreads. You start avoiding one thing, and soon you're avoiding related things. Then you're avoiding anything that reminds you of the thing you're avoiding. Then you're avoiding entire areas of your life because they're connected to that one thing you won't face. One avoided conversation becomes a pattern of avoiding all difficult conversations. One avoided health issue becomes a pattern of neglecting your health entirely. One avoided financial problem becomes years of financial denial. Avoidance becomes a habit, and that habit shrinks your life. It makes your world smaller and smaller as you try to navigate around all the things you won't face. Here's what people usually do. They rationalize their avoidance. They tell themselves they're being smart, strategic. They're waiting for the right time, the right mood, the right circumstances. But there is no right time. There's only now and later. And later just means the fear has more time to grow. They tell themselves they're protecting themselves, preserving their peace, taking care of their mental health. But avoidance isn't self-care, it's self-sabotage. Because the anxiety of avoiding something is almost always worse than the discomfort of facing it. Here's what you should understand instead. The longer you wait to face something, the harder it becomes. Not because the thing itself gets harder, but because your resistance to it grows. You're not avoiding the thing. You're avoiding the feeling, the discomfort, the awkwardness, the uncertainty, the potential for rejection or failure or embarrassment. But those feelings, they're already here. You're already experiencing them through your avoidance. You're already uncomfortable, already anxious, already stressed. The difference is, if you face the thing, those feelings end. If you keep avoiding it, those feelings continue indefinitely. So you're not actually avoiding discomfort. You're just choosing prolonged discomfort over temporary discomfort. And that's a losing strategy. Here's another thing people get wrong. They think courage means not being afraid. It doesn't. Courage means being afraid and doing it anyway. It means acknowledging the fear, feeling it, and moving forward despite it. Because the fear doesn't go away when you avoid things. It goes away when you face them, when you prove to yourself that you can handle it, that it's not as bad as you thought, that you're stronger than your fear. Every time you avoid something, you reinforce the belief that you can't handle it, that it's too much for you, that you need to protect yourself from it. Every time you face something, you reinforce the opposite, that you can handle hard things, that discomfort is temporary, that you're capable. Which belief do you want to reinforce? Take a moment right now. Be honest with yourself. What's one thing you've been avoiding? What's that thing in the back of your mind that you keep pushing away, hoping it'll resolve itself? Drop it in the comments if you're ready to name it. Sometimes just admitting what we're avoiding is the first step toward facing it. And if this message is resonating with you, share it with someone who's been stuck in avoidance. Sometimes we need someone else to tell us what we already know. Now let's keep going. Let me tell you why this matters. Why it actually deeply matters. Because avoidance doesn't just affect the thing you're avoiding. It affects everything. When you're carrying around unresolved issues, unfinished business, things you know you need to deal with but haven't, it drains you. It takes energy. It creates background stress that colors everything else in your life. You can't fully relax because there's always this thing you're not dealing with. You can't fully focus because part of your mind is always occupied with managing your avoidance. It affects your relationships. Because you can't be fully present when you're constantly trying to avoid thinking about something. Because avoidance in one area of your life often leads to avoidance in others. If you avoid difficult conversations in one relationship, you'll probably avoid them in all relationships. And relationships can't survive without difficult conversations, without honesty, without addressing problems instead of pretending they don't exist. It affects your growth. Because growth requires facing things that scare you, doing things you've never done, having conversations you've never had, taking risks you've avoided. If you're constantly avoiding discomfort, you're constantly avoiding growth. And that means staying stuck, staying small, staying in your comfort zone while wondering why your life isn't changing. It affects your self-respect. Because deep down, you know when you're avoiding something you should face. You know when you're taking the easy way out. You know when you're letting fear make your decisions. And every time you do that, you lose a little respect for yourself. You reinforce the idea that you can't handle hard things, that you're weak, that you need to hide from life. That's what avoidance does to you over time. It erodes your confidence, your self-trust, your belief in your own capability. But here's what happens when you start facing things instead of avoiding them. You realize most things aren't as bad as you imagine. The conversation you were dreading takes 10 minutes and goes fine. The task you were avoiding takes an hour and it's done. The truth you were afraid to admit is actually a relief once it's out there. You build confidence. Real confidence. Not the fake kind that comes from pretending you're not afraid. The real kind that comes from being afraid and doing it anyway. From proving to yourself that you can handle discomfort. You free up mental space. All that energy you were using to avoid thinking about something, it's now available for actual living, for being present, for focusing on things that matter. You stop feeling controlled by fear because you've faced it, you've walked through it, and you're still here, still okay, still standing. That's powerful. That changes everything. Because once you realize you can face one thing you've been avoiding, you realize you can face anything. The fear loses its power over you, and your life opens up. You stop shrinking from opportunities because they might be uncomfortable. You stop avoiding relationships because they might require vulnerability. You stop playing small because growth might be scary. You start living, actually living, not just managing your fears and trying to avoid discomfort. So here's what I want you to remember. Fear grows when you avoid things. It doesn't shrink. It doesn't disappear. It grows. Every day you put something off. Every day you tell yourself you'll deal with it later. Every day you choose avoidance over action. You're feeding that fear. You're making it bigger, stronger, harder to face, but you're also making it less real because the fear in your head is almost always worse than the reality. The thing you're avoiding is rarely as bad as you've imagined it to be. So stop avoiding. Stop waiting for the fear to go away before you act. It won't. Fear doesn't disappear until you face it. Do the thing you've been putting off. Have the conversation you've been avoiding. Make the call. Send the message. Address the problem. Face the truth. Not because it'll be easy. It won't be. Not because you won't be scared. You will be. But because avoiding it is harder. Living with ongoing anxiety is harder. Carrying that weight around every day is harder. The temporary discomfort of facing something is always better than the prolonged discomfort of avoiding it. And here's what you'll discover. You can handle it. Whatever it is, you can handle it. It might be uncomfortable. It might be awkward. It might not go perfectly, but you'll survive it. And once you do, the fear loses its grip on you. You'll wonder why you waited so long, why you let something so manageable take up so much space in your life, why you gave fear so much power. But don't waste time on regret. Just take the lesson and apply it going forward. Stop avoiding. Start facing. Stop feeding fear. Start proving to yourself that you're stronger than it. Because you are. You always have been. You just needed to prove it to yourself. So prove it. Today. Right now. Face the thing you've been avoiding. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Not when the fear goes away. Now. While you're still afraid. While it's still uncomfortable. That's when it counts. That's when you grow. Fear grows in the dark. It shrinks in the light. So shine a light on it. Face it. And watch it lose its power over you. If this message gave you the push you needed, subscribe to this channel. This is Know This. We're here to give you the truth about life, fear, growth, and everything you need to hear to stop playing small and start living fully. We drop a new video every week. Direct, honest, real, no sugarcoating. Just the truth you need to move forward. After this video, don't just think about what you heard. Act on it. Pick one thing you've been avoiding, just one, and face it today. This week at the latest. Not perfectly, not fearlessly. Just do it. Send the message. Make the call. Have the conversation. Take the step. And then notice how much lighter you feel. How much mental space opens up. How the fear that seems so big shrinks the moment you face it. That's the power of action. That's the power of facing things instead of avoiding them. Your fear is only as big as you let it get. Stop feeding it. Start facing it. See you in the next one.